The Voyage. In a shining garden by the sea, a fair woman sat desolate, since he whom she loved must needs obey a summons, bidding him to a distant journey. And she thought, "How shall I bind his soul to mine, so that he shall come back to me, even as he goes, mine, body and soul?" For these two loved each other exceedingly, so that no mortal power could have prevailed to separate them. But the woman living constantly by the sea knew its witchery, and she feared the magic of the waves and the marvels of the great deep. Even as these fears came thick about her, she heard the footstep of her love. And looking up, she saw his shadow lying black athwart the sandy path between the great aloes of the entranceway. So rising, she went to a little swing gate set in a thicket of pink roses, and opened it and let him in. Then, lifting her eyes to his, she saw that the hour had come. The man was moved, and the woman, clasping her arms about him, put her lips to his lips, saying, "Go, and bring back to me my kiss." And he answered her and said, "Dear, thou knowest no human power can part my soul from thine." So the man took ship and went down to the great waters, bearing sorrow in his heart. Now, as he journeyed out into the deep and utterly lost sight of land, his past fell away from him, and the charm of the sea and the sky was upon him and grew, so that it seemed before many days were past as if he knew no other country. The earth herself had become to his sight but a rolling ball of waters, flying ever beyond the sun, as the clouds closed and fell with every falling day. And as he forgot his past, so did he gradually lose thought for the future, till at the last it was so, that should any have come to him and said, "This is henceforth thy world, this ship on its far journey holds thy fortunes, and beneath its spreading sails shalt thou abide till night closes on thy life," he would not greatly have marveled at so strange a tale. Night by night, the voyager watched the stars of heaven, and learned the times of their rising, and knew them by their names. Often, too, he sat in the very path of the moon, till the rippling waves of her light flooded his soul with a silver calm. And at these times he withdrew himself from the ship's company, and would willingly be alone. For it seemed to him as if voices of delight were upon the waters in the night watches, only when men spoke with him, their loveliness faded away. Thus, watching and listening, it came to pass that one night, about the rising of the Pleiads, and whilst the cross yet was lying far beneath the waters, a voice fell on his ears, which enthralled him and brought a strange joy to his heart. A joy not unmixed with pain, for it waked echoes of remembrance, and he recalled that beloved one's voice, the tones of which had been dear to him in the garden by the sea. And he saw her standing silent in her sorrow and looking out beyond the roses, beyond the pale green belt of guardian aloes to where the blue and radiant waters washed the silver sands. Then two voices began to plead with his spirit, and hearing as it were in a dream the voice of his love entreating with that other voice of strange music, the man strove with himself and cried out upon her, and sought to have a yet clearer vision of her beauty, but in vain. The echo of her tones grew faint. The voice of mystery filled his ears, and even as he strained his eyes, thinking to see her very face, a fair mist, born of the sea, arose and veiled his sight. As soon as the early dawn had driven all clouds from the face of the morning sky, the man came to himself. But he was very moody, and this moodiness increased upon him throughout his journey. And he lived through the day watching only for the sunset, when there sprang up a light breeze, and with it the expectation that in the night watches he should once more hear the voice of music, and shroud himself with the mantle of the fair mist. And when he received letters from the woman, whom he loved at the port for which he was bound, the tale they told had no meaning for him, and he made haste to go again on board. Not that he had any desire or longing to the garden wherein she sat, but rather that he felt haste and impatience to dream once more his dream upon the waters. Now, when 7 times 7 days had passed since that hour in which she had gone forth, saying, "Dear, thou knowest that no mortal power can part my soul from thine," the man found that they were almost within sight of land. And the captain said, "Before daybreak tomorrow we shall cast anchor, and ere noon shall we be all on shore." Then great joy filled the hearts of that ship's company because of their return. But the man had no part in it, for his soul was sick because of the voices of the sea. Night drew in on that day with a great darkness, and the stars were hidden from sight. And the man, sitting in his accustomed place, strove eagerly to catch, if it were but the echo of a whisper. Yet he heard nothing. Fear came on him, lest the voices had departed. Great longing grew within him, and he was almost beside himself with pain when, about the 3rd watch of the night, the mysterious music once more filled his ears, and the fair mist herself at the last became visible to him. And the man, seeing the light of her eyes, gave up his soul in an ecstasy of wonder, and her kisses lay upon his mouth, and he was utterly possessed of her. Yet on the morrow, as his feet touched the land, the man remembered his love. But there was a strangeness in that recollection, as of something which he would but could not wholly bring to mind, and he turned himself about, as one but half awake, before he took the pathway by the blue waters which led to the garden. And as he walked under the aloe hedge by which it was defended, he was aware of a fair white canopy, fringed with silver, and raised aloft on 4 crimson standards, which showed plain above the thicket of roses wherein he had left his love. And he gazed curiously on the canopy as on something unexpected and unknown, and he made haste to the entrance portals, and passing in found the little swing gate open, and so, pushing through the roses, came to where this strange thing was. And having come to the canopy, he saw beneath it a bier covered with violets and asphodel and roses, and anemones of white and scarlet, and beneath the flowers he saw the dead face of the fair woman whom he had loved. Speaking to those that stood near, the man said, "Who hath done this?" And those who stood near answered, "Our Lady sickened and faded not many days after thy departure, and yester even, about the 3rd watch of the night, she died." Then the man knew that he had slain his love, and turning from the bier, he took the pathway by the blue waters, and entering into the black shadow of the pine woods by the rocks, he was lost to sight.